All right, before I begin, I would like to apologize to the translators because I have a habit of speaking quickly about things that interest me. So translators, lo siento, buena suerte.
You're speaking in English?
Yeah. So my name is Chris Kluwe. I played in the NFL, Football Americano, for 8 years. I set pretty much every team record at my position. I played on a team that was 1 game away from the Super Bowl, and it's an experience that I can describe to you. I can tell you what it's like to be sprinting down the field in the middle of a tornado, feeling the blood pounding in your ears, hearing the crowd roaring around you, trying to dodge a 110-kilogram man intent on nothing more than knocking your head off, and what that adrenaline does to your system. The feeling of impact when you do get hit, and how your vision fogs and then disappears, and then you come to on the ground wondering how you got there. I can describe to you all of these things, but up until now, I haven't been able to show you these things. Now, that is all about to change, because our technology is getting small enough and fast enough to where we will be able to see from someone else's perspective. Stuff like Google Glass, stuff like GoPros, stuff like the drone that you saw flying around earlier with a camera mounted on it. These are all viewpoints that we haven't had before, but that we are going to have in the very near future. And I'll tell you why we're going to have them. Because fans want to be their favorite athlete. They want to experience their favorite athlete no matter what sport that athlete plays. Whether you're running down the pitch as Ronaldo, or serving as Federer in Wimbledon, or possibly even hurtling down the slope as a downhill skier, these are all visions that you'll now be able to see, and fans will pay money for that. It's profitable. This is the start of augmented reality in sports and in society. Now, what's going to happen is the fans will want this vision, this new experience, because it is new. And so the teams will give it to them. Teams like to make money. The coaches of those teams will then look at all this information pouring in. They'll say, wait a minute, we have all these different perspectives from all our players. How can we use this to make our players better? How can we use this to win more games? Because coaches are all about winning games. Because if you don't win games, you get fired. It's pretty simple. So once coaches start looking at this information coming in, they'll use it to start creating metrics. How do players play better? Which guy is able to focus in faster on an open receiver? Which player sees the open man running down the sideline for a cross in soccer? All these things that coaches are looking for, they'll now be able to define because they will have the player's perspective. They will be able to see through the player's eyes. Then they will get to the point where, with all this information coming in, they'll ask themselves, how can we use this to display to our players in ways that make them perform better? It'll start pretty simple, a basic heads-up display, something you might see in an automobile or a fighter jet, technology we have today. A simple display right in front of their eyes that tells a football player what his next play is, what his assignment is, so that way he doesn't have to remember it. He can spend more time thinking about what he needs to do athletically as opposed to remembering what he's supposed to do mentally. It allows him to play faster and looser. And then it will get into more and more complicated visions. You will be able to actually display real-time information on the field. So American football as an example, say a quarterback takes a snap and he drops back. Now normally when a quarterback drops back like this, he can't see anything on his blind side. With augmented reality, in his helmet, a sensor will be able to flash red right there. He knows he has to step up, avoid the rush. He looks downfield at another flash, a receiver is open. He throws the ball, but he's hit as he's thrown. The ball flutters, comes out. It's not going to go to its normal spot. The receiver adjusts, the cornerback adjusts, because in their respective visors, they see a patch of ground lit up, and they know that's where the ball's gonna land. And now it becomes who is the better player, who can react to that ball and get that ball and use their athletic skills the best. What this does is it brings up the floor of the playing field. It brings up everyone's talent level very close to where the elite players are right now, because the elite players can do that without thinking about it. That's why they're the elite players. Augmented reality allows everyone else to lift up very close to that level, and that is very profitable for leagues because it makes the experience better. People watching see very close competitive games and they want to watch more. That's what sports is about. You want to see competitive stuff. So this is all technology that we have. This is all technology that's coming because it will be profitable. And this is absolutely not at all what I want to talk about, because this is merely a sideshow to the actual things we can do with this, which is instilling empathy within other people. With augmented reality, with cameras that are on people's heads that they're constantly recording, with the technology that our society is moving to, we have before us a very unique opportunity to experience life from someone else's perspective. We can literally walk a mile in someone else's shoes. And this is very important because we are visual creatures. We learn from seeing. We learn from watching other people. And if we're able to watch someone else see what they see, it allows us to understand why they behave the way they do, why they act in certain ways, what the experiences they have are based on. For example, if I'm a teacher in a classroom and I have two students that are bullying each other, or one student is bullying the other, as of right now, I can say, hey, stop doing that. That's mean. You shouldn't bully that other student. And the bully may or may not stop. He'll be like, oh, whatever, teacher's yelling at me again. With augmented reality, with the ability to see from someone else's perspective, I can now show the bully the perspective of his victim and have the bully watch himself. Now, I know for a fact, me personally, every time I've seen myself on TV, I look nothing at all what I look like in my mind. That's the camera doesn't lie. It shows who I am, how everyone else sees me. And that may not be how I see myself. But by seeing that vision of myself on TV, I can make adjustments to how I view myself. I can say, maybe I'm not the person I want to be. Maybe I'm not acting in the correct way. Maybe I need to change my behavior because I get that feedback, because I get that positive reinforcement telling me this is who you really are. So this is why augmented reality and these cameras are so important, because this is a discussion we have to have. This is technology, like I said, that is coming down the line. It will be here. Police forces in the United States already have cameras that their officers are supposed to wear at all times. So that way, officers are protected from people who would bring false claims, and citizens are protected because if an officer does something wrong, that way they have visual evidence of what actually happened. Now, a lot of officers conveniently turn their cameras off when something bad happens, which is something we need to work on, but you can see we're already moving in that direction. And so this technology is applicable in so many facets of life. Imagine if you're a protester and you're looking at a line of riot police. To you, this is a faceless mass of people who do not have your best interests in mind. But underneath those helmets, they are everyday people just like you and me. They might be your neighbor. They might be your friend. But you can't see that. You can't see their perspective. All you see are the police. From the riot police perspective, all you see is a mob angry about something. You don't see that individual perspective of that person. You don't see that this is your neighbor, this is your friend. You don't walk a mile in their shoes. And that makes it much easier to discard your humanity and treat them poorly. So we need to start having this discussion about how will we use this? Will we use cameras and augmented reality and the ability to see other people's perspectives simply for entertainment and to turn a profit? Or will we use it to make ourselves better? Will we use it to instill a sense of empathy within our entire species? Because the ability is there. We have the technology to view another person's viewpoint. If a group of students is able to record what they're seeing and other people can watch that, do they disappear? If we have aid workers overseas fighting Ebola, do the people at home panic as much if they see what the actual conditions are and how things can be changed, how things can be mitigated? These, again, are the questions, the discussions that we need to be having, because throughout our history, whenever a new technology has arrived, we have always acted in the same way. We wait until we see the consequences, and then we start scrambling around trying to figure out what to do. So my hope is that instead of repeating our history, like we've done so many times, we can get ahead of our history and use our knowledge, use our foresight, use our rational thinking ability as human beings to discuss this technology, discuss what it means for us as a species, and the best ways we can go about using it to make our lives better instead of worse. See, augmented reality is a tool, and just like any other tool, it can be used to lift us up, or it can be used to drag us down. The choice is up to us. It's always up to us, whether we know it or not. So, my question to all of you is that will you think about this technology? Will you think about augmented reality, about seeing the world from another person's point of view, and will you decide to foster a greater sense of empathy in everyone else? Thank you.